Don, also known as Dede, Bustamante, was murdered on March 14th, 1975 in Kailua, Oahu. She was 13 years old at the time of her death. The case remains unsolved, with her murder and that of her friend Cherie Verdugo McCoy in 1975 still one of Hawaii's most haunting cold cases. Don Bustamante was 13 and her friend Cherie Verdugo, 13, were abducted at gunpoint by an unknown man in a white Plymouth Valiant. They were taken to a remote area near the Kionanaole Road, where the attacker assaulted Don and then attempted to assault Cherie. Don was shot in the head while Cherie managed to survive despite severe injuries after being strangled. Even after Cherie provided a description of their attacker and an intensive investigation that included hundreds of interviews, the perpetrator was never identified up until today. Many decades later, this horrific crime remains one of Hawaii's most notorious cold cases, with authorities still hoping that advances in DNA technology might eventually lead to the killer. The Hawaiian island of Oahu is the most populous island in the state and is well known for its beauty and culture. It was less busy in 1975, but still far busier than the other islands, thanks to its military bases. Thousands of U.S. military men and women have been stationed on the island throughout the years, helping to bolster its population. Although the islands had some crime, mostly property crime, violent crime rates remain relatively low compared to the mainland. Due to this and the abhorrent nature of the crime, the abduction, rape, and murder of two teenage girls, and the miraculous escape of one of them in 1975 sent shockwaves through the community. Authorities investigated the case back then but were unable to come to any conclusions. In 2001, a former Marine who was stationed on Oahu when the crimes took place was arrested, suspected of committing the crimes. However, he was later released when the physical evidence didn't seem to point to him. In 1975, Cherie Verdugo was just 13 years old and was a friend of Dede. She barely survived the attack. It was March 14th, 1975, on the beautiful Hawaiian island of Oahu, in the town of Kailua, Oahu, both 13-year-olds, Dede Bustamante and Cherie Verdugo, now Verdugo McCoy, were walking toward Kalapawai Market, a local market that sold all sorts of goods. It was between 8 and 8:30 p.m. As the girls were walking along Kailua's main road, a white Plymouth Valiant pulled up alongside the girls. The man inside tried to talk to them from his car, striking up a conversation and asking if they needed a ride. The girls refused, and the man became angry and pulled a gun on them, threatening to kill them if they didn't get in the car with him. Begrudgingly, they got in, frightened for their lives. From there, the terrified teenagers were taken to a remote area behind a local golf course along Kionaole Road. The abductors sexually assaulted Dede in the car, but a passing car spooked him, and he then demanded that they all get out and walk into the thick brush near the road. Once out in the bushes and out of sight of drivers on the road, the attacker hit Dede with the butt of his gun, knocking her out cold. He turned on Cherie next, trying to assault her, and she pretended to pass out to stop the attack. However, the man began strangling her, and she thought she was going to die. I think I was maybe 2 or 3 seconds away from passing out, from dying. I was praying and squeezing my thighs so hard I couldn't feel them anymore. That's what Cherie Verdugo McCoy recalled. At that moment, Dede came to and tried to escape. Cherie later described the ordeal. He let go of my neck and ran after Dede. I got up and ran the other way as fast as I could. Both girls began running in opposite directions, and the attacker could only chase one. The suspect eventually killed Dede with a bullet to the head while she attempted to flee. By some miracle, Cherie was able to escape the attacker and ran for help, using a nearby golf course's phone to call police. My hair was a mess, my clothes were torn and bloody, and my face was bruised, she later explained. Authorities were contacted and an investigation began. Local authorities began investigating the case, taking information from the lucky survivor, Cherie. She told police what had happened and where, and they were able to recover Dede's body. She had been killed by the bullet to the head. Aside from that, though, there really wasn't much information about what the police did or how they conducted their investigation or how many suspects or persons of interest were interviewed. During the course of the investigation, a suspect came to light in the case, a Marine who lived in the area. Authorities brought the man in because he was driving a car that was similar to the suspect's car. There were also reports that the Marine had asked others to vouch for his whereabouts the night the murder took place. Due to these issues, he was brought in twice for questioning. According to contemporary newspaper reports, authorities brought Cherie in as well to see if she could positively identify the suspect as the man who attacked her. However, she was unable to do so, claiming to only be about 60 to 70% sure that the Marine was the attacker, and the suspect was released due to lack of evidence. Due in part to Dede's murder, Keonaole Road was permanently closed to through traffic in 1986. However, the teen's girl's nightmare wasn't the only crime that had been committed there. Rapes, murders, gang fights, car fires, and all sorts of other mayhem were common issues along the dark stretch of the road. There are even some rumors that the area is haunted. In July 2001, the same Marine who had been questioned was arrested in Indianapolis, Indiana, where he resided for the past 25 years. He was indicted by a grand jury on Oahu in August 2001, and it seemed that the cold case was finally going to be solved. The Marine pleaded not guilty in relation to the charges. Delmar Edmonds, 46, was charged with murder in the March 14, 1975 abduction, rape, and shooting of Don Dede Bustamante. Police arrested the former Kailua Marine in Indiana, and his extradition hearing was scheduled for Tuesday, July 2001. Don's mom, Maureen Bustamante, 57, nicknamed Dede herself, wanted Edmonds brought back to Hawaii to face trial, but she couldn't bear to even look at his picture. She does not want to put a face to the crime that has long haunted her for so long. Later, when DNA comparisons were made between the suspect's DNA and the former Marine, there was no match. That is, the Marine's DNA didn't match the suspect's DNA. The Marine was then released from jail after having spent 14 months behind bars. If you have any information that can help solve this cold case, contact Crime Stoppers at 808-955-8300. Unfortunately, aside from the suspect who was arrested and then released, there are few updates in this case.